Hey everybody, and sincerely welcome back to this month's, I guess, weekly TheraTea. My name is Tell Williams, or Mr. Williams on social media. I am a social worker, a therapist, and a teacher. And over here we have...
I'm Anne Marie DiPietro, and after our month hiatus, I am still a nurse practitioner.
the very unintentional month hiatus that we took.
Yes.
Let's fill them. What happened in this month?
You bought a house.
Bought a house and moved.
Yes.
That
was huge.
Huge and exhausting.
Yes.
Opened up a show, which then took us out for another loop because
I was on vacation for a week.
Yeah. It's been like a 3-week.
Yeah. I had that mini mental breakdown. So that
it's been a moment.
We've had a lot. And Teddykins.
Teddykins being Teddykins.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a
Ruby
little
chewing on wires.
She's just
great.
Eating the mics. Mm-hmm. It's been a moment. It's been a little bit of a moment, but we're here. We're here, and we're oops, hold on, I have to adjust this. Let's make sure it doesn't. We're good. It's just been a moment, but we're back. We're here. We're here to stay. The episode we're covering is toxic friendships. Mm-hmm. And before we get started on that, I do have to give our, person who needs to take the chill pill of the week.
Yes. Who is it?
Have you heard of the absolute rumors, but hilarious rumors of JD Vance fucking a couch?
No.
Okay, so this is my favorite meme happening on the internet, and it's been for a long time. So JD Vance, Trump's pick for vice president. Mm-hmm. Someone was like, yeah, in one of his first iterations of his novel, Hillbilly Elegy, he talked about fucking a couch. Completely fabricated, not true, but the internet ran with it. And so people have been making memes and videos, and it's hilarious. And I just think it's so funny that this dude is so unlikable that we hear something so wildly untrue and like silly. And we were like, he seems like he would.
Yeah. Right?
I have giggled. People being like, he found his couches on not Ashley Madison, but Ashley Furniture. Like, dude, it has been my favorite thing ever. And instead of like using this as a tool to like joke around and be like, oh, okay, super funny, didn't do that or whatever, like he's getting so defensive. It's like, baby, why are you getting defensive? It's fine. It was a joke.
I really didn't fuck a couch.
Yeah, it's like, we know, but now we're kind of suspects if you're getting this defensive over it. Like, it was a joke, but I don't know. Made me giggle, and I was like, the internet is a toxic place, but also sometimes it's so damn funny.
Oh my God.
Because, I mean, he really attacked women who don't have children and women who have cats, which is like...
Me.
He went on the attack.
I mean, listen, Republicans don't like me for many reasons. Right. And the cats is like at the least.
Yeah. Well, apparently he really hates women who don't have kids and women who have cats. So
women who don't have kids have cats, and I bet are lesbians and like abortion really
huge up on this list. That's like what keeps him up at night.
Yeah.
I know it is.
No. He would not like me.
He would not bode well in your household.
No. He would not.
So we're talking toxic friendships today.
Yes. Toxic friendships.
What do you think are some of like the first signs or like the glaring signs that you're in a toxic friendship if you don't like already know it? Which sounds silly, but I think a lot of people don't know. Like,
I mean, listen, after what happened to me, I don't know that you can even ask me that question. Yeah. I think that like upon reflection, probably what I could say is like listening to your gut instinct initially, and then not ignoring little things that like poke at you and you just like dismiss them, So I've had 2 like super toxic friendships. One's been over for a while, but we were friends for a decade, and this last one I didn't even realize was as toxic until I was in St. Lucia, and this individual
Yeah.
like word vomited. What
When you're on
the text? Yeah.
vacation, which sucks. It's like,
I was in a helicopter actually.
okay, that's kind of epic though.
Yeah. Over top of these like beautiful mountains and tropical things, and I'm looking at my phone and I'm like, fucking bitch.
I can't believe this.
I'm trying to show Colleen, but like she can't hear because we have the helicopter
Yeah.
things on. She's like, I can't hear you. And I'm like,
And she's like, I'm trying to enjoy the view. Put your
yeah.
phone away.
Yeah. Yeah. Then I got like so sick that like I was sick to my stomach, but then I got motion sick because I was in the
Right.
helicopter. And it was one of those things where I'm just like gripping the seat, like, don't vomit, don't vomit, don't vomit. It was so bad. I couldn't wait for that goddamn helicopter to land.
You're like, it's the double whammy. It's double murder now. It's like the motion sickness and
Yeah.
then like actually feeling sick because you now are maybe never going to be fully aware, but you were more aware of
Yeah.
the toxicity of the relationship.
Right. Well, I mean, so I've talked about before how I got my Christmas trees got stuck up for 3 years because on
Yeah,
Christmas I
yeah.
found out about my two exes that I didn't
Yeah.
know knew each other but met when the cat was being put to sleep.
Yeah.
That they were together for that whole 6 month period. Well, like, I don't know why the universe like plays these sick jokes on me, but like this friend that I had, we'll call her, what should we call her? Cindy. Cindy had this, I thought this was like an acquaintance. I'm going to change some details about the story just
Yeah,
for
yeah.
obvious reasons, but nothing like super, all the things actually happened. It's just I'm leaving some stuff out.
Yeah.
This acquaintance that we had that I thought was just an acquaintance, right? Reaches out to me and she's like, I just wanted to like tell you the truth about like your friendship with Cindy. And I was like, okay. But Cindy and I haven't spoken since August
Yeah.
because we had a falling out, at which point I had caught her in so many lies that I like,
What can you do?
what can you do? And like you said earlier, like if someone can just like write you off like
Yeah.
that quick, like, you know. So anyway, we haven't spoken since August and I thought it was just like we had this falling out and like that was whatever. Anyway, so previously Cindy used to come to my house every Saturday. That was like our thing that we did. Then like at some point, I guess like over the last like 2 years, it like either we didn't have Saturday at all or we started doing it on Friday. I didn't really like think anything of it.
Right.
Because like I obviously don't think that I have friends that are completely fake, but anyway.
You're not gonna spend time on someone that you feel is not valuing you or is withholding information
Right.
from you. Yeah,
Right.
100%.
So this person says to me, you know, Cindy's been spending like every Saturday at my house since I think it was like November of 2022.
Okay.
So like,
A while. For the last year
Yeah.
and some change of the friendship.
right. Yeah. So like this is like these details happen like while we were actively friends.
Yeah.
So first of all, that was just like a wild like slap in the face of like,
Yeah.
how did I not even know, number one, that you were friends with this person, but number two, that you were spending every Saturday
With
them. Just weird. And then this person said, did you put that locator stuff on her phone? And I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, she said that you had a locator on her phone where you could like see and hear her through the camera. And her brother found like the spyware on her phone and that you had been monitoring her. And I was like, did either one of you think like maybe if I was doing that, you wouldn't have to tell me everything you're telling me right now? I mean,
I also have no idea how that's like feels like some like FBI shit.
I know.
Like I wouldn't understand how to do that.
Molly, my best friend from St. Louis, goes, I told her like the whole story about this stuff. She goes, Emery, of all the lies she told about you, that one's probably the most realistic.
Like you'd figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, you remember that pen recording?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but I mean, if I would have known that like I needed to investigate this person, like maybe I would have.
Right.
So anyway, so I'm like, okay, well, that's great. So then it becomes you put the spy stuff on her phone, and then it was she just talks shit about you all the time. And I was like, talk shit how? Like, said you were a bad friend. Our moms, that them and their two moms said they would sit around and talk about how I was actually in love with Cindy, and that I started dating Colleen because she looked like Cindy. And I said to this individual, you can never say that to Colleen. That needs to be erased. Like, and I'm sorry, sister.
They don't look.
Dream on.
They didn't look anything like.
No.
At all.
No.
I feel like when a friendship sours to the point, or when there is any type of animosity, or I always say that I can't bring a relationship back when there is what's the word I'm looking for? Not revenge. When two people completely fall out with each other.
But what is it when one person doesn't know?
Yeah.
Because like I'm over there like talking about how we're like such great friends and we're so connected, and I do it taking off like of work to like help after surgeries, canceling all my appointments when they're in the hospital. Like, I'm doing all of this while they're like actively talking about how terrible I am.
Oh, resentment. I think it's that. I think someone can resent you, and you might not have any idea, right? But obviously there was so much that the friend had so much resentment towards you, towards something in the friendship, that would facilitate this need for a lot of secrecy, of not indulging, or not telling you specific beyond secrets. Secrets are something that like are way beyond what was happening in this case.
Speaking of secrets, at first when this individual was telling me this, I thought like, okay, maybe like they're having a manic episode, like this is just grandiose stuff. But then they started to tell me specific details. Like they said, well, Cindy sent a video of you and Colleen fighting at your house, and you were sitting on the floor and Cindy was on the couch. Now, number one, I will be the first to admit that, like, I can have an angry episode. Like, who couldn't? Colleen could, I could, whatever. If someone said to me, like, Amory, can we see that video? I'd be like, sure, you could see the video. Like, I don't have anything to hide, right? But someone's going behind my back, sending to an individual that I don't really know a video of me fighting with Colleen inside of our house.
Right. It's kind of is ironic that it was like the story was that you had video, or that you put something on their phone,
right?
When in reality they're showing people videos of you and like an intimate moment at home in the comfort of your home.
Sending pictures that I had sent, screenshots of texts between this individual and me, between this individual and Colleen. Like, all the while, I'm thinking everything's okay.
Right.
And now, one of the most fucked up things, not the most fucked up, but this is, like, very hurtful to me. Because, like, my love language a lot of times is, like, gift giving. And this person said to me, I, like, really needed money, so Cindy gave me all of the gifts that you had given her to sell on eBay, like, so that I could have money. And I was like, okay. And then she sent me a picture of all of the gifts, like, lined up on her, like, coffee table. And it was everything from tiny little, like, Funko Pops to, like, a crystal I spent, like, $500 on. Just, like, all of it. And I was like, well, why? And she said, like, oh, I don't know. She just, like, put them in a box in her garage. And it's like, on what level are you like having some sort of like gift exchange with someone where you like, and then you're putting it in your garage to give to someone to sell on eBay later? Like, she knew how much that stuff cost,
right? Like,
and I would hope she would know like how hard I worked for my money. And I'll tell you right now, I got that shit back, and I'm gonna sell it.
Well, I guess my thing is like, clearly there's not a friendship there, or that she made the friendship one-sided, right? Because like there's a difference between someone, it just feels like and I don't know her enough, right? I've met your friend once, and I've always said like my exchange with her was dinner. You know what I mean? Like that's all I know of the person. So like obviously I don't
She had
know.
plenty to say about you
I'm
after
sure.
that.
But again, like I'm always the kind of person that's like if I don't, what does bad, what is me sitting there and be like, well, I think this and this and this, because I don't, she doesn't know me, so the things that she's saying about me is stuff that
Oh, she didn't say them to me, of
no, but
course.
you know what I'm
I'm
saying, like
hearing them
right.
secondhand through all
So
this.
my other thing is always like the things she doesn't know me well enough to talk badly about me. So have at it, babes. I don't know, probably half the stuff you're saying, I'm gonna be like, yep, that sounds like something I would be. I have no, whatever. But there's a difference between like not wanting a friendship anymore and just pure maliciousness. And it sounds to me like if it's like not really caring about the gifts that are given, always talking shit, sneaky behind your back, creating friendships that she doesn't feel like she can talk to her best friend about. You know what I mean? Like it just sounds like what are you in the friendship for then? Like I'm not spending my time with people that don't feel like they're serving a purpose in my life.
So the more I thought about it, there was this other like shared individual that we know that she would say that she like hated all the time. But like her and her mom would like both talk shit on this person, and I thought that like she didn't have any communication with her at all because like why would I think that she would, because she only had horrible things to say
Yeah.
about her. And then I ran into someone who mutually knows both of us, who, this was like a few months ago, who said, like, oh, yeah, Cindy's best friend, Jane. And I was like, Cindy's best friend, Jane? Like, Cindy doesn't talk to Jane. She was
Right.
like, what are you talking about? They're together all the time. And I was like, the fuck? So, like, little tiny, like, that's not tiny, but like little things like that would like pop up sometimes where like, I would be like, oh, like clearly she like lied about that. So like I'd present it to her, but there would always be like an explanation for
Right.
it. Like, oh no, that person meant like 3 years ago. Or like, or if there was no explanation, she would just get like super offended and then like make me feel like I was an asshole for even.
So gaslighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that those are things to be careful of, right? Like if we're seeing some, I think signs in friendships or any relationship that you have really, gaslighting, or if you're remembering something one way and the person's not offering you a calm, collected reasoning behind it or willing to have a conversation of how maybe they could be incorrect as well, I think that's kind of a huge red flag. But also like the inability to have a argument is a huge thing to me. And we just talked about that, right? Like, I have disagreement with friends and I get frustrated with friends. And I think something that's really difficult about friendships, and specifically friend breakups, is that it is such a choice, right? Even if I always say this, that the reason why I think friend breakups are so hard is because we can have as many friends as we want, and people are like, well, yeah, but you can be polyamorous, 100%. But even with polyamory, there's an extent of how many romantic partners you want. There's even then there is one. So even if we're including that, I'm saying we can have an abundance of close friends. We can have an abundance of best friends, right? So it's so intentional for that breakup to be like, it is a choice you're making because you don't have to do that. It's not like if I want to marry someone else, I have to divorce my husband. You don't have to break up with your friend if you want more friends, right? And if you're feeling like you do, that's a conversation you have with the friend. I'm feeling like there's this attachment between us where like I feel like I'm not allowed to have more friends, and you probably something like, why the fuck wouldn't you be allowed to have more friends? Like you have Molly, you have like so many other people, right? So if there's an issue like that, or you're feeling that, then speak to it. If there's ever an issue in a friendship, speak to it, because letting it fester is going to make it worse, or you're not going to be able to collect the data you need to be like, wait, this is fucked up. This doesn't feel
And
right.
I don't even think that it was about like not talking to me about it directly, because the things that she was saying were like false.
Yeah.
Like I have receipts, like I can prove that they're
Right.
false. So then it's sort of like, Well, what was the motive? Like, is your motivation just like to purposely hurt people? And like, why is it that in like a circle of people, everyone thinks you like them and hate the others? So do you just have like this rotation going?
Yeah.
Like, is this a game? Do we just like have to like have people all over and you feel some sort of like power from it?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, it could be something too where it's like, there's always memes about it online. That's like when someone calls my best friend their best friend, right? Um, I don't know, maybe it's just me and my comfortability of like what I bring to the table in a friendship, right? But like I'm fully aware that like I might not offer my friend Alex, love her, right? Like we're best friends, we're super close. But I also know that she has other best friends. It's so weird to say that word as an adult. She has other good friends that offer something that I can in that moment, right? Or like maybe I'm the one that you go to for emotional stuff, but you go to someone else to party or to go shopping or whatever that might be. So it seems to me that in her wanting to be maybe that person for each of them, she ostracizes the others to that one person. So everyone in the group of however many thinks that she's best friends with them and hates everyone else. So that creates a even closer friendship.
right. And I would joke all the time, like, oh, you're not allowed to have other friends, like, blah, blah. Like, I was 1000% joking. And it's almost like, if you surround yourself with people you talk shit on, then, like, if someone's really your friend, like, aren't they going to be protective of you then? So, like, if you're talking shit on these people, but then you're also actively trying to be friends with them, of course I'm not going to want you to be friends with them because I don't want you to be hurt. Like,
Or that they've told you at one time this it's toxic or you're not a good person when you're around so and so, right?
Right.
But again, that's the difficult thing too, because then what it looks like in their narrative is like, well, they didn't want me friends with anyone.
Right.
No, baby, I didn't want you
Exactly.
friends with the people you talked shit about, which is a
Right.
difference, right?
Right.
Like, and I think that's the minute I see someone that I love talk badly about someone else, and then when we see them in person, they're nice as can be, it's an immediate red flag to me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if they're doing that to me. There's a friend I have, we'll call him Bobby.
okay.
And I say friend because he is a fun friend. I always say there's emotional friends, there's fun friends. He's a fun friend. And I could never have a emotional friendship with Bobby because he will say, Monica is my best friend, and I love Monica so much, and then say the most heinous shit I've ever heard someone say about Monica. And then she's visiting him where he lives because he moved away, and they'll be, kissy kissy and all these photos together. And I'm like, if he says that about his best friend, what's he saying about me? So I can't create that emotional friendship because you've shown me that you are going to change your opinion no matter depending on what room you're in. And I can't have friends like that.
Yeah, and I mean that's generally how I am too. But the problem with this is I never saw her interact with the other person because I didn't even know they were friends.
Yeah.
Like this person tells me, and then this like blows my fucking mind. Like there at one point, like a couple years ago maybe, there was like a brief group text with this acquaintance and the two of us where the acquaintance was like, haha, I'm in bed with, what did I say that person's name? What was I faking her name was?
Christy?
Tiffany?
Sure.
I don't know.
Cindy,
who's the
Christy.
friend? Cindy.
Yeah.
Okay. So Cindy, like, oh yeah, I'm in bed with Cindy right now. And like, we all like laughed, like, haha, like, you wish, like, and like went on to the next thing. And she said to me when she was telling me all this, she was like, remember that time that I was joking about like being in bed with Cindy? And I was like, yeah. Because we were having like a three-way conversation.
Yeah.
That was like an actual like debate conversation. And she was like, I actually was. Like, so then what? Like the two of you were sitting there like crafting responses, like as if we're having this discussion in three different locations with three different opinions.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
And I think that's the hard thing, right? Because it's not like, I can sit there and be like, we look at things like gaslighting, we look at things like if their actions don't match up what they're saying, right? But the difficult thing is that you had no knowledge of that, right?
Right.
It wasn't like you saw her hanging out with Barbara and she just talked about how much she hated Barbara. Like you
Right.
heard from the grapevine that this and this and this was happening,
Right.
but you didn't necessarily see it firsthand.
It felt like the same thing with my two ex-girlfriends where I like got hit by a bus like on
Yeah.
Christmas, and like this Cindy was there when that incident happened. Like
Yeah.
Cindy knows the trauma that that caused me. So like now I'm sort of the opinion, like I think that Cindy likes seeing other people in pain. I think she likes causing pain. I think she likes being everyone's like favorite and
Right.
demonizing everyone else. And I'm just like, how did I miss it? And I think, well, first of all, I think that I have more faith in humanity than to assume that someone would do something like that,
For
because
sure.
it's
I don't,
very
well, again,
bizarre.
yeah, you would, even after the friendship ended and there was a breakup, you don't want to, you never want to assume the worst because that reflects on us too. We think, how did I miss that, or like, am I naive, or what have you, right? So you're always going to want to assume the best in someone.
And to be honest, if all of this happened like after we stopped being friends, I mean, I would care in as much as like some of the aspects of it. But in terms of like talking bad about me, giving away my gifts, like whatever the fuck, I literally wouldn't give a flying fuck about that.
Yeah.
My issue is like, why are you acting like you're my best friend and doing this behind my back? Because to be honest, like in that last conversation, I was like, listen, I've caught you in this lie, this lie, this lie, this lie, this lie, and this lie, and I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
What if I didn't reach my breaking point? Would we still be best friends right now? And like, I'm being made to look like a fool.
Yeah, but like I said to you before too, I think that like in so many cases where, you know, I've talked to clients about this, I've talked to family and to friends, like when someone is doing something that is disrespectful or hurtful to us and they're going around telling people XYZ about us, I think the best thing we can do is either speak highly of them or speak to the facts, or not give comment at all, right? Because the thing is, I think it says way more about them than you, right? There's obviously a disconnect, and I think it's really difficult for you to be like, to figure a lot of that out and to figure out what happened in the friendship, because that level of honesty is not being offered. And if anything, they're again fabricating things to make it even more difficult and more of a headspin for you to figure out what the fuck happened in the friendship. Because no one's gonna sit there and say, I think that, Cindy likes to hurt people and likes that, like lives in that, right? But Cindy's not also offering you any anecdotes for you to think anything else.
Right.
Is the unfortunate thing.
And then like this individual just kept like proving to me how accurate what she was telling me was, because this individual knew nothing about my, like I have never told this individual anything about my life
Right.
ever. So then she says to me, yeah, and she told me about how your friend in St. Louis is so terrible and all she does is use you for clothes for her kids and money, and all you care about is your family in St. Louis. And you know that talking about Molly is the kiss of death.
Yeah.
Like I have like a visceral reaction to that. Like that alone would have been enough for me. Like, and I just can't fathom how you could like be so two-faced. Like I just, and to say stuff like that about Molly, it drives me fucking insane. I think really insecure people look at me being generous with Molly's kids, who I refer to my nieces, and say like she must not be doing that from a good place. She must somehow be like manipulated into doing
Right.
it. She must like only like do it so like Molly will like her, like whatever.
Right.
It's just so ridiculous to me. Like in my head, it's like I'm in Philadelphia, my niece is in St. Louis. Every morning when she picks out her outfit and says like, "Oh, Amy got me this outfit." Like part of me's then in St. Louis, right?
Yeah,
That's like the way that
100%.
I think.
Which is true though, but also like it's ignoring the fact too that like Molly was friends with you before she had children. Before, you know what I mean? Like it's a way of ignoring the history. If that was the case, Molly wouldn't have like helped facilitate, plan, and bridal showers and bachelorette parties, right? Because if someone is taking from you because you are supplying the friendship with a monetary gain, they don't feel an obligation to you. They don't feel, if someone is using you for money, they don't feel any obligation the other way around. They'll make shit up, right?
Right.
It's ignoring also this idea of love language and how you also shut up for Cindy. You got Cindy a lot of gifts, and it wasn't you buying anything from her. She didn't have kids. It was that was your way of showing an appreciation or a thought of you, right? And a lot of people do gifts like that. Jason and I send our niece and nephews gifts all the time, or we do anything financially we can from a distance, because that's all we can offer at this moment. We don't live there.
Right.
We can talk on the phone with them. They're busy. Like we can, but like something we can do is help with school supplies. Something we can do is buy books for them. Something we can do, like that's things we can do. And that's what you do in long distance stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the other thing that I think people should look out for that I missed, and Colleen has brought this up to me multiple times, that I didn't listen to her, and she's right. I didn't listen to her. If Colleen and I had a disagreement, I would be like, well, Cindy agrees with me. And Colleen would be like, what are you talking about? Like, Cindy said the opposite to me. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay, like, let's call Cindy. And then Colleen would, like, back down. But Cindy was 100% saying the opposite to Colleen. Like, and then Colleen and I sat down after I found all this out, and we thought about it, and we were like, we have fought significantly less and for shorter durations in the time since this friendship ended than ever before. And then Colleen's like, like, I really think she would, like, incite fights. Because she said to me, she was like, did you ever talk to her about, like, seriously wanting to move to St. Louis, like, that you were going to? And I was like, no. I mean, I texted you that time when I was like, look how cheap houses are in St. Louis. Like, it would be great to live here. Like, obviously, I'm not going to pick up my life and move to St. Louis. In a dream world, sure, I would love to pick up my life and move to St. Louis and be near my nieces all the time. If I could have everything else, like now I have a nephew here. And I have a nephew that was born in the last month, too. Yes. And he loves me.
With, like, the cutest name, too.
Vincent.
Yeah, I love that name.
Yeah.
It's so fancy.
He's a little angel.
Yeah.
He's so tiny.
Pie. Yeah.
Which is so weird because, like, I was such a big baby. My brother was a big baby. My niece, like, Sloan and Blair were giant babies. Like, Blair was born 2 weeks early and bitch was, like, 10 pounds. Yeah, this baby is like a peanut. I was like,
my God.
Oh. For some reason, babies always, like, stare at me with their eyes wide open. Like, Blair would do the same thing, like, all night long, just her eyes open. It's fucking creepy. But it was probably, like, babies trying to tell me, like, you have a toxic friend.
Leave.
Pay attention.
Run away.
But yeah, like, stupid stuff like the St. Louis thing. Like, why are you going to incite Colleen with that?
Well, and I think this is another thing too of, like, when looking at friendships, right? Is the involvement of themselves. Is there an enmeshment happening? There's a really good TV show that I'm obsessed with on Netflix called it's like, oh fuck, it's like Killer Roommates or like something roommates. And there's a really good episode of on this they were best friends, and she was like actively trying to kill her best friend. The older woman that had the kid. Yes, the nurse. Yeah. So that one was, like, wild to me. But
that's sort of like the same thing.
But it's like it's this enmeshment, right? When the person has enmeshed themselves in your life in a way that's bringing toxicity, right? And a lot of that too is, like, I always say that our friends have a very skewed version of what our relationships are like with our significant others, because I'm not calling my friends when Jason buys me flowers and he surprised me with dinner or whatever. I'm calling them when we're arguing, because in those moments, I'm enjoying that, right? So if you have a friend who's inserting themselves into arguments, or if you're sitting there being like, well, so-and-so said this, but you said this, right? Or too willing to hype you up. I've had my friends call me all the time when they're arguing with their significant others, and I'm never like, what a dick, what an asshole, fuck that, because I don't know the relationship. So all I can say is, like, that really sucks, and I would be upset too, and that sounds hurtful, and, like, do you think you want to talk to each other? What do you think you guys should try doing? Blah blah blah. Because 9.9 times out of 10, they're gonna make up, and you sitting there talking shit about their partner in an argument that you have one side about doesn't look good. And then I never want it to be a place where my friend's husband or wife or whoever is like, do you hate me? And I'm like, no. So like when she's inserting herself and you're realizing too, hey, our marriage or our relationship has gotten a lot better and we don't fight as much. We don't this, and this. It's a way of being like, they really overly inserted themselves into a lot of our.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think if I could go back in time and redo it, I think the biggest mistake I made was letting every little lie go. Because you know
Yeah.
when you have that feeling in the pit of your stomach where like you know that like you're missing some piece of information.
And you can't like point out to what it is.
Yeah, and I would like justify it like, and I guess maybe to an extent I was like afraid of losing the friendship or something.
Yeah.
But if I like look at like characteristics of Molly, who's like my longest friend that I've had and closest friend by far, like these two people had like or couldn't be more different than
Yeah.
one another. And I don't know. I mean, I think that she like preys on people, to be honest. Like I think that I was manipulated and gaslit and I fell for it a lot.
Right. And I think the difficult thing is too, it's like if hearing that or if someone hearing that, it's like that's further from what happened in the friendship, right? Then closure's bullshit anyways. But the thing you can offer is like if you don't want that person to if Cindy's walking around and doesn't want you to think that that's who she is as a person, then unfortunately we have to put on our big girl pants and say, then I want to have a discussion, an honest discussion on why that friendship was ended the way it is, right? But when you're not offering the person any insight and they're not on why they did what they did, or if there's, but then again, what does that help it when you feel like you've been gaslit and lied to so much? Because it's not like you're going to hold that and be like, oh, maybe she's being honest this time.
Right. No, I mean, it's at this point, it's like I need to pick up the pieces of the damage and like put them back together because
Yeah.
there were so many like ethical bounds that were broken and like friendship attributes that just didn't exist. Like
Yeah.
there's no coming back from that. Like
No.
I'm not a person that could ever like intentionally do the like I can't picture a single day where I'm taking expensive gifts from someone and then giving them to someone who I'm actively hiding from that person that I'm friends with to sell for their own, like not for her profit, not for Cindy's profit, but for this friend to then use the
Right.
money.
Again, it's just all incredibly strange. And I think that because there's so many strange things adding up, that it's just how, like, it's difficult to reconcile that with yourself. But like you said, like, it's so far gone that it'd be difficult to even have a conversation and be like, is there a way through? Right? There's not. Like,
No.
I think when it comes to how much happened and the amount of times a lie hurts more when it's retold again and again and again because you had several points of being able to tell the truth and you chose not to every single time, right? There was several times that she could have come clean about things and it's not there, and that really sucks.
Well, I mean, I truly think that it's because, like, there was no guilt felt. Like, I think it was all purposeful.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's, like, a couple kinds of toxic friends. There's, like, the kind of toxic friend that's not open with you, that, like, gets upset and, like, stifles it and talks shit on you to other people and just, like, like, actually cares about you but can't, like, talk to you in a healthy way, right? Like that's still toxic. Or like the toxic friend that like doesn't want you to have other friends and like tries to monopolize all your time, and like that's because of their own insecurity, whatever. Like those are feelings based, right?
Right.
Like it's still toxic, but like this is like you know that you are actively hurting this person. Like, because there's no debate, right? Like, it's not like someone would be like, oh, well, I'd be totally fine with someone spending their hard earned money on these expensive gifts and then giving them to someone who I'm actively lying about being friends with. Like,
Right.
that's fine. That's not hurtful. Like, of course, you know that's hurtful when you're doing
Yeah.
it. Like, you clearly like doing things like that.
Or like, I think there's other ways too of like I think a lot of the issue is an unwillingness to have difficult conversations, right? If they're like, and that doesn't fall on you, it falls on them, right? If she didn't like getting gifts, if gifts made her so uncomfortable, right? Then find a solution to that. I don't like it when you give me gifts, but I would love it if like every time you felt the need to give me a gift, can we go out to dinner? Can we go do some? Can we do
Oh,
something
don't worry.
together?
She kept the expensive jewelry.
But you know what I mean? Then and so then again, like it makes it even harder because it's like then where was that disconnect? Because
Well, when you're like writing my name on a piece of paper and burning it in a fire
Right.
multiple times, like literally, I have to have Jason come to this office and like
Cleanse
cleanse it. Like I had crystals falling, like crashing to the floor. The sign was on the ground. Like it was just chaos in here
Right.
yesterday, and it's like I don't know on what planet someone's like, I'm gonna talk to this person because they're my best friend and I'm texting them like we're BFF, AAF, and now I'm gonna write their name on a piece of paper with my secret friend and burn it.
Right.
Like that's not okay or normal.
Again, I think it's a weird thing of like what is keeping that person from being able to facilitate move on? Because it's coming up on a year, right?
No, but here's the thing. This all happened while we were still friends.
But I mean, them continuing to talk about it, them continuing to like burn your name, them doing all that stuff, like
Well, who knows if it's still happening? I know
right.
it was actively happening.
But like
then.
clearly there was a part of you who didn't want the friendship anymore, and so don't you think if you, or at least you didn't know how to be a good friend to that person, wouldn't there be some relief then? You know what I mean? Instead of like, why is it something that still is like occupying your brain?
I think that Cindy was probably disappointed she couldn't keep manipulating me.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. This is a good story. So then this person tells me that, you know, because I'm in love with Cindy, right? Like that's the narrative. That I took her to a sex toy store and I whipped her with a dildo in the store.
Where did that happen?
Like, who in the actual fuck makes shit up like that?
Also,
Like,
I don't.
also, like, I'm not saying that wouldn't happen. Like, actually, no. If you're in a sex toy store, first of all, there aren't just like dildos out. Like, that's gross and like
Yeah.
not sanitary.
Usually they're in like a glass cage.
Yeah, and they're like packaged because like
Yeah, they're
you
in
know,
boxes. I mean, they have like
go
samples,
places
but
that
they're
could
not
cause
things.
sepsis.
Yeah.
Like-
you also though like there's tact there. Like I don't think they're these like they're it's not a Spencer's gift store. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's like these people are like knowledgeable people that like I don't know. That's such a strange thing to be like. Also, you don't whip someone with a dildo that would hurt so bad.
Right.
That would actually cause physical pain.
And also,
they're
it's
heavy.
almost like, you know, like when you're like 12 and you don't know if you're like gay or not, and you're like, dildo.
Right.
Like,
Such a silly. Again, like this is something weird about me, but if someone were to say, if I was supposed to, you know, like, hey, do you want to come to my birthday party? And a friend was like, oh, I can't. I'm not feeling well. And I saw a picture of them at a Phillies baseball game. That would hurt so bad. That's a big lie.
yeah, for sure.
If-
1,000%.
If I asked a friend what they had for lunch and I saw that they were eating a sandwich and they told me that they had Chinese food, I'd be like, that is fucked. Why are you lying about something minuscule? Like,
Right.
that's weird. Like,
Right.
when it doesn't have to be a lie.
Right.
So it's stuff like that when there's like, oh yeah, one time we went to a sex store and they whipped me with a dildo. It's like, that's such a weird, small, fabricated lie. Like that stuff makes me feel way more uneasy than if you were to be like, this and this and this happened, or I don't know, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's the willing,
bizarre.
because that tells me that we're lying for the enjoyment of lying
Right.
and not lying as a method of having to recuse ourselves of
Right.
something,
Or to
right?
like get out of
Right.
something.
And to be completely honest, I've never had a friend tell me they couldn't go to my birthday party and then go to a baseball game. So I'll say that
Right.
they
Right.
wouldn't be my friend anymore. But if a friend was like, I can't, I'd rather go to this baseball game. Can I take you? I don't want to go to dinner. I'd rather take you out to dinner myself. I'd be like, go to the fucking baseball game. I don't care. But if I did have the incident happen, I'd be like, clearly they wanted to go to this baseball game really bad. So I wonder what in our friendship have we created that they didn't feel like they could tell me that, right? And is it something that I did, or is it something that they did, or is it a perceived thing? Because there again is in an argument with a friend that you care about, there's a solution, right? It's a little bit difficult to do when the person Cindy doesn't want a solution, or like we talked about before. I've gone through friend breakups, and I've gone through mutual friend breakups that weren't because something toxic happened. We outgrew the friendship, and those suck. But even ones that like something big happened, I had a friend, that really good friend of mine, who like we drifted apart, and then when my mom died, airwaves, right? I'm not going to give attention to that,
Right.
but it was a slow progressing thing. I have had friend breakups, and it's usually a slow progressing. We hang out a little less, and then when you kind of take a step back, you're like, I don't want to facilitate a hanging out more or reconnecting because it wasn't great. Very seldom is it this like quick, like within a week, days, like that. It was a quick one, and that tells me that like, I don't know, like I'm gonna fight for a friend that I want to stay friends with, right? And I think that's why they sometimes linger, is because you have that hope.
Well, when I was like going through all of this, like with the person, I went back to me and Cindy's text and I was reading through, and like I wanted to like cry for myself. Like for like 2 weeks when she was giving me the silent treatment, I was like begging. I was like, like we're better than this. We can get
Yeah.
through this. We've gone through this, this, and this. Like you're so important to me. I want to fight for this. Like, and I'm like reading all this thinking like, oh my God, like she had been doing all this stuff, saying all this stuff. Like I looked like such a fucking fool. But then, like, something must have hit me, like, at the end of that week when I was just like, I'm fucking done.
Yeah.
Like, it went from, like, begging to, like, I'm done, and I never looked back.
Right. And I always tell people, we do not and will not beg for love. We're worthy of someone showing up for us, right? But I don't think it's something we should have shame or be like, oh, I look like a fool, because in those moments, again, it doesn't say as much about you as it says a lot about them, right? Because as mad as I am at a friend, if something were to happen, I'm not going to ghost them when they're like, I'm upset. Can we fix this? I called off an engagement. I never gave them the cold shoulder. I was like, hey, no, this isn't going to work. You ask me every day if we can fix it. This is not fixable, and that really sucks, and it hurts for both of us. And I think it hurts more that every day you're messaging me asking if we can fix it, because we can't. But to give someone that you supposedly cared about, as they're saying that stuff to you, to not be able to be like, hey, no, or I don't want to. That again, that says a lot, because
Well, I think she did want to. She wanted to hear me beg more.
right.
Like, I feel like you're like such a nice person that you can't even get your head into the space
No.
that this is. Like you keep saying stuff, which is like so 100% valid and helpful for probably 99.9% of people listening, because that would be their experience.
Yeah.
But like, I just feel like this is like your brain could not comprehend
I don't think
this.
I don't think it can, because again, like the toxicity of the relationship, it's I don't get it. And this is coming from someone who, mom and stepdad had the most fucked up toxic relationship imaginable, and seen a lot of toxic relationships. And even then, there's still a communication, and there's even then there's some gaslighting and lying too, but not to the extent of this. And I think in my head, I just there's such a disconnect and such a what the fuck happened.
Because like people only engage in behavior if it serves them in some way, right? Like the functions of human behavior are either to access attention, to access tangible things, to escape demands you don't want to do, or to like you get some sort of like body reinforcement, automatic reinforcement from it. So like she wasn't getting anything from me. Potentially, maybe she was getting attention from the other people. Like, maybe that's it. But, like, I also think you have to have, like, some sort of, like, derive some sort of pleasure from, like, knowing that you're hurting me.
Right. And I think that's what I'm saying.
And I don't know you're hurting me.
Right. Well, yeah, I think again that's like the when we tell a pathological liar, right? When we tell a little lie that doesn't matter, it's exciting. 'Cause it's like, oh, I got away with that. It's like someone stealing a thing of chapstick. They don't really give a fuck about the chapstick, but it's the rush of it.
But don't you think it's hard? Like, how do you confront someone when you, like, know they're lying?
If I know that they're about something big or small,
Small.
if it's a friendship I care about, I'll a lot of times just like call it out and be like, okay, girl, then why am I seeing? I saw you eating a sandwich earlier, right? Oftentimes, if I'm seeing little lies, though, it's enough to very quickly make me distance myself because in there I can see that there's not a reason to make the small lies, and so that brings the discomfort. If it was like, oh, I saw you at this store, what were you doing there? Like, I wasn't at that store. I would think, oh, maybe there's a surprise coming up. Maybe they were buying me something. Maybe there's something I don't know about. That's different than being like a very small, minuscule lie that they don't have to lie about that doesn't weigh on me, doesn't weigh on them. Like it means nothing. I'd call it out maybe a couple times, but after that, I would 100% distance myself because it would freak me out.
Yeah.
Like that'd be very fucking weird to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely didn't. I did not do that. I should have done that.
Like, I think a lot of it, it's kind of like that Oprah thing, right? Like, trust this or, I'm very, I try, we've talked before, I can't ever gauge my emotion. So I have to gauge my physical feel in a moment. And if physically I feel like that flutter in my stomach or that like that feeling of anxiety, then I'm like something, I can't label what it is, but something doesn't feel right about this. I'm going to back away. It's that fight, flight, or freeze. And I will fight a lot of it. And very seldom have I been wrong because I'm not listening to an emotion. I'm listening to a bodily feel. And I think that's like the one benefit of this autistic trait of being like, I don't know what my feelings are feeling right now, but I know that my body doesn't like this and I'm going to trust that. Because a lot of times we'll feel that anxiety, but we'll be like, that doesn't, but I love the person. And that's the conflict, right?
Right.
That the minute someone would tell me a lie that was small, I would get, I've been there. I had an ex that would lie about the weird, that's where I got the whole what they ate thing. 'Cause they would lie about what they ate. And it wasn't like, because I'm watching to see if you're doing anything healthy. It'd be like, they would be like, oh, I went to Long John Silver's and really they went to Wendy's or something like that. And I'm like, why would anyone lie about something so silly and small? Or like, what movie did you, oh, you watched a movie with friends? What movie did you guys go see? This one? But it was a different movie because their friend would post like a screenshot of like their ticket. And I'm like, that's weird. Like, why would you? And I think... then I started back and looking like that. Why would you do that, right?
Did you ever find out why they were doing that?
They're just pathological. Like they thoroughly enjoyed
deceiving people.
Deceiving, like what could they get away with? Or sometimes it was a status thing of like it would be so lowbrow to go to this movie. I went to this movie instead. Or like of course I wouldn't eat that because that's something you like and I can't So it was eventually finding out that it was just like you said, a way of hurting someone or a way of manipulating. And I was like, that doesn't serve my life and it doesn't feel good and I don't want that. And so like, but again, that's hard when you have an emotional tie and we don't create friendships and bonds with people that we think are bad for us. And so I think that's why it's super difficult in friendships because we can be manipulated because we want to see the best in them. So we are very willing to sometimes even gaslight ourselves and being like, I'm wrong because Cindy would never do that to me.
Right.
Because I love Cindy and I want this friendship with Cindy. And so what's wrong with me that I'm thinking this poorly of Cindy right now? Right. So we're going to excuse the small stuff.
Well, and that's what Cindy would say if I ever I think there were 2 occasions I called something out and both were huge blow-ups.
And again, that's a huge tactic, right? Of being like, well, if I'm so angry about this, then you will sit there and be like, oh my God, well, she would not respond this way if that were true. And she's so upset about this because we are such good friends. And why would I ever think that?
And then I'm the dumbass, like door dashing Ritas and candy and like whatever to like make up for my wrongs.
Yeah. And you're like, wait, no, I was fucking right.
Yeah. I wonder if she gave my candy away. Probably
Honestly,
ate
that'd be
it.
so mean because I would, no matter how mad I was with someone, if I knew they didn't poison it, I'm still going to eat that
Oh,
candy.
for sure.
Like
Me
I'm
too.
like candy, ice cream, anything with sugar, like you can apologize to me and I'd be like, I still don't want to be friends, but I'm gonna like devour this cotton candy.
Yeah,
Like
for
it's gonna
sure.
happen.
For
That
sure.
would be my sign of being like, you know what? I really don't trust her. Who would
Yeah.
give away candy?
Yeah, seriously.
There's nothing redeeming left.
Oh my
What do you
God.
think your advice is for someone who sees or feels like they're in a toxic relationship?
I think that number one, you need to have a conversation with the person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that wouldn't have mattered in my case,
Yeah.
really. But I think that my case is probably pretty rare. Like
Yeah.
you said, in my case, I think what I needed to do was trust my initial instinct. I think people's instincts about someone when you first meet them are more accurate than society would like us to believe. Like,
100%.
sure, sometimes we're wrong, but I don't
Sometimes we do catch someone on
know.
that
Yeah.
super off day where they cannot muster up the energy to whatever, but for the
Right.
most part that's not the case.
Right. Well, and I had worked with this individual for several weeks
Yeah.
with this negative feeling. And then I was convinced that I was wrong, and I think
Yeah.
I like overcompensated for that.
Yeah,
Like
because
I
then you
don't,
feel bad, right? Then you're like, oh, I
yeah.
should have never thought that of that person.
Right, right. So I think not listening to myself and then not confronting the person when I knew that they were lying to me or if they like upset me about something.
Yeah.
Because like it's as hard as it is, like I remember this one time with Molly and Grant, that's her husband. Sloan was like in the room and Grant had said something about like lesbian and he like whispered it like lesbian and Molly was like it's not a bad word.
Yeah.
Like she said that to her husband, which I was like glad that she did, but like then like I felt like I needed to address it later
Yeah.
because I was like it upset me,
Yeah.
I was like, well, like how are you guys like talking to Sloan
Right.
about LGBT stuff, whatever. And that's, I asked Jason, like, can you send me a list of books? And then
Yeah.
I sent the books to the house and they read them with her and whatever. But had I not like said something, I think I would have like held on to that.
100%.
But the thing is, I felt comfortable saying something because I knew that Molly would never respond with anger.
Right.
And I think that that's probably something that I overlooked. Like I should have known it was toxic if I couldn't express any sort of negative feeling.
Well, and it was a bias that he was probably taught. Mm-hmm. And because he was taught that, it's not even like obviously he knows you're a lesbian and wouldn't say anything directly offensive around you. So that's an embedded thing. So for us to get upset about that, it's like, or we can have a conversation about it, right? Yeah, I think even if you had a conversation, right, or even if we have a conversation with someone who we look back and we say, well, could have served. Who knows if we have a conversation and like we're asking some of those hard hitting questions we were wondering, then it's when you trust your instinct of this doesn't feel right or that they're not giving me this thing. So they could still be lying to you and gaslighting this, but it's the willingness to have the conversation paired with listening to what your body is also telling you. And that if your body is telling you one thing and your emotions are telling you another and you have those two things conflicting, something's up.
Yeah. I really think what you just said is like the summary of it because when I finally started listening to my body, like that one day that I like called out all the lies and then never spoke of it again, like I felt better after that day. And Colleen would say to me, my mom would say to me, like, don't you miss her? And I was like, honestly, no.
Yeah.
Like I feel like more peaceful. And I didn't even know why then.
Right.
Because it was, what has it been? Like
almost a year.
Yeah, I didn't know any of this for an entire year, other than like the little lies and that last like argument that she had with me. But I don't ever think you should be like on your hands and knees begging someone to be friends with you. So maybe
if that person can't get you off your hands and knees, right, to be like, this isn't, you don't need to be doing this.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm ever going to give a gift again. Now I'm going to like come to your house and be like, Jason, show me
Where
all
is
of the
it?
crystals
I
I
need to
gave
see it
you.
now.
Are they on display? Show me them in the box.
I have to know that they're here. They're not in the garage.
Yeah.
Again, but I think it's one of those things that, especially now, it's something, it's something that's like, you're going to have to consciously like look at your own biases and be like, is this a trauma response from this? Is it, and I think that's what sucks about the ending of any relationship, especially a friendship, is that you have to sit back now and go, okay, well, now I'm going to have to reframe my thinking, or at least allow myself that, like, I have been right about so many other people that I can't let this person allow me to not trust myself anymore. I think that's always an important thing too, is to be like, we can't let one person knock our distrust.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what would you say? Who needs enemies when
with friends like that? Who needs enemies?
Yeah. I mean, my God. If
Definitely
anything, it's
not
this.
me.
Yeah, this is a reminder of surrounding yourself with people that constantly make you feel good. And if something's feeling icky in a moment, make sure that you have friendships that are feel good enough that you can bring it up, like the one with Molly, and being like, "Yo, what's
and
up?"
also, like, we all go through stuff, right? Like, I was not okay the past couple of weeks. I was not okay this morning, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I had someone regarding this situation like call me out hard, and it's just really hard, even for me, like, as a professional, someone who does therapy, someone who works with mental health all the time. Like, I missed it. I mishandled things at times.
Yeah.
Like, so we're not perfect, obviously. I did scream at Colleen that time, that video going around.
That was real.
Yeah. It exists. The dildo slapping didn't happen. The video did happen.
Right.
So anyways, yeah. I mean, no friend is I'd rather have no friends than a friend like that.
100% agree.
So don't be afraid to confront your friends if you feel gross in your stomach.
Do in a way that feels like an open conversation between the two,
and get a cat if you need
a cat.
to.
Fuck JD Vance, get a cat.
Get a cat.
Get a cat.
That's gonna be the new campaign slogan.
Yeah, get a cat. Fuck
Get a
JD
cat.
Vance, get a cat.
Get rid of your children.
Yeah,
get a cat.
Get a cat instead. Mm-hmm. We will see you next week, friends, for a new episode. Yeah. Hopefully we can get our shit together.
Yeah.
Let us know what you want to hear about. Let us know about your toxic friendships, and hopefully they are ex-friendships.
Yeah, make me feel better.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one, right?
Yeah. Let us know that we're not alone out there.
Did anyone else get their gifts given away? Because I'd feel better if someone else
I
did.
need to know that for sure.
Please.
Let us know.
But I got my gifts back. You
got
didn't miss
back.
that,
You got
right?
them back. Now you have to
back.
give them. No, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, friends. We'll see you next week.
Bye.